Hey there, Stampers. Welcome to this week's Facebook Live. Normally I go live at 11 a.m. Mountain Time on Fridays, but it is On Stage weekend. On Stage starts tonight, On Stage at home. So I won't be able to craft with you tomorrow, so I thought I would do one a little bit early. I'm just pulling up my iPad here. Let's see. There we go. All right. So the first thing I wanted to do was draw for the winner of the last Facebook Live project that I created. And it was actually, I think it was almost a couple weeks ago now, because I did not do one last week because it was a retreat weekend. So Mary Fairhurst is the lucky winner of this adorable gnome card. So I will pop that in the mail for you, Mary. I know I have your address. So congratulations. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Canada. And like I said, normally every Friday at 11 a.m. I go live with a crafting project. And then I have a VIP page for anybody who has purchased a class or purchased any product from me. I have a VIP page where I go live on Tuesday evenings with a crafty project that is exclusive to them. Hey, Susan from Florida. What's the weather like in Florida for you guys? Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Mary Liz. Good morning, Kristen. And then I always, as long as it's a mailable project, by participating in the conversation, so commenting or sharing my Facebook Live, you guys get entered to win that project. So that's how Mary won the project, by commenting on that particular Facebook Live. All right. Oh, thanks for sharing, Susan. Good morning, Linda. Okay, so before we get started, I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple classes that I'm super excited about. Oh, we're getting some serious glare here. Let me just make some adjustments. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay, so this month we've got this great bundle that is available. It's called the Quite Curvy Variety Bundle. You guys have probably seen it all over the place because so many people are using it. And you can pick and choose the products that you want to purchase. There are 4 products that are part of this collection. So these 2 items, they're available as a bundle. It's called the Quite Curvy Bundle. So this cute little stamp set, which we're going to use today, and the curvy dies. These 2 you will also see in the upcoming January to June mini catalog, but they are available as an early release right now. And then this one, the Curvy Christmas, and the DSP, which is called Classic Christmas. These 2 items are also part of this variety bundle. However, these are available until January 4th or while supplies last. So that's just something that I wanted to point out. You can get this entire thing and save 10% if you purchase it all. In Canada, the price is $96. And it's a fabulous deal. There's so much that you can do with these, so I'm going to share some projects with you in a minute. And like I said, we're going to create a birthday card using the Quite Curvy Bundle, so these 2 products. Okay, so let's set this stuff aside. We'll keep this out because we need that. So let me share a few projects that I've done with these. So these 2 were done using the Curvy Christmas. This one was inspired by, I believe it was Stesha Bloodheart. She did something very similar to this on the top of a mini paper pumpkin box. So I loved the idea. So I took some of her ideas and tweaked it and turned it into a card, and I love it. We created both of these cards at my team meeting last night. And then we created the one that I'm going to make today as well and share with you. Oh, Susan, you got this bundle last week? Oh, yeah, hopefully you get a chance to play with it this weekend. It's so fun and it's incredibly versatile. Good morning, Leon. All right. And then if you purchase a minimum of $35 from me using this host code between now and, let me confirm the date, between now and November 15th, I believe it is, then I will send you 4 card kits, and these are the 4 cards that we'll be creating. All using this variety bundle. Look at this one, isn't that fun? And then this one here. And then we'll have a live session on Zoom on November 19th to create those cards. I guess if you need your kit mailed, you'll have to get the order in by the 8th so that I can mail your kits to arrive in time. So that's something that we have coming up. I do have an in-person class for that. I have 2 times, Wednesday, November 18th at 9:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. However, there is very limited space with that class. I think there's only 1 or 2 spots left in each of those classes. All right. Okay. The other one, I am super, super excited about this. I shared a quick flip through the other day on my Facebook page and then uploaded it to YouTube, but I've made a few little adjustments. So I wanted to share another flip through with you and just remind you that the deadline for this is November 8th, so which I believe is on Sunday. So if you want to participate in this, make sure that you register as soon as possible. I need to make sure I can get the kits. And the other thing, for those of you who are outside of Canada, I wanted to let you know that I do have an option for you. So if it's something that you're interested in, this is a virtual class, so it'll all be on Zoom. I do have an option for you to participate. So just send me a message or comment in the comments section. Actually, it's probably better that you send me a message so that I make sure I get it. And I can send you the details on that option for you if you're outside of Canada. Okay, so let's do a quick flip through. This is my December Memories album. So I like to do this every year, and I don't always, it's not necessarily like a December daily. I don't document daily in December. I have done that in the past, but I found it was a little bit too stressful. And as my kids got older, I found that we weren't doing necessarily as many things because they have their own lives and they were doing their own things. So I wasn't taking as many pictures. So I basically use this album to basically just document any photos that I take over the course of the month of December. And this year, my husband and I have plans to do the 12 days of Christmas. It's not going to be 12 consecutive days, but leading up to Christmas, we are planning 12 different activities to do with our kids. Kind of just something fun and something either outside or something that we can do at home, just something where we're doing things together, because we are going to miss out on seeing a lot of family, and the holidays are just not going to be the same this year. They're not going to be the same for anyone. So we just want to make this a memorable holiday, and memorable for the right reasons and not for the wrong reasons, right? Okay, so let me do a quick flip through. So this one here, you can actually tuck some photos inside of this. So this is popped up and there's enough space so that you can tuck photos in there. This is a little pocket. So you can do some journaling or add photos onto there, tuck extra photos in there. This piece opens up like that. So it's kind of like a little interactive album, and I just love how it came together. And again, this one, you can use it for journaling, or you can tuck some memorabilia or a photo inside there. I didn't slit the page protector for a couple of these yet because I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to use them for. So if I decided to put something that was a bit more interactive that I wanted to be able to pull out, then I would definitely slit the pocket page like I did here. Okay. And then this flips up. And this flips up. And then there's more space for some small photos there. So in the Zoom session, which will be on November 28th, I will walk you through all the cutting instructions, and we may not get to the full assembly of the album, but I will be sending out photos to everybody who's registered so you know how to assemble. You'll have all the pieces done by the end of the Zoom session. And then you might just have to finish off by decorating, adding your little embellishments. And then I also added, since the last time I filmed my flip through, I added a little pocket at the back because it's always nice to tuck in maybe some of your favorite holiday cards, or if somebody wrote you a nice holiday note, you could tuck that in that, or in any kind of memorabilia. Those photo cards that you get, those would be really cute tucked into the back. And the great thing about this album is it's expandable. So I still have this much space left where I could expand it to make it thicker if I wanted to. So I could add as many pages as I wanted, as many little flip outs if I want to add more, if I have more photos to include, that you have the flexibility with this album. All right, so I will post a link to the information for this class in the description above after the Facebook goes, this Facebook Live goes, or gets posted, okay? All right, now let's go ahead and get started. So that you guys can see what you're here to see. We're gonna craft a birthday card. So I'll go through my pieces that I have first. Okay, so I've got a standard size card base. This measures 5.5 by 8.5, and then it's scored at 4 1/4. So I'm just gonna fold that in half. That's gonna be my card base. And then I've got 2 pieces of vanilla cardstock. One of them measures 4 by 5 1/4. So this is gonna be for the inside of the card. So I'm gonna tuck that inside so that I don't get it mixed up with this one. And this one's a quarter sheet of 8.5 by 11. So it measures 4 1/4 by 5.5. And we're gonna do some die cutting on this one. And then I've got a scrap of crumb cake, basically just large enough so that I can cut out, or stamp and cut out, all 3 of these adorable little chubby birds. And then I've got about a 3-inch piece of the basket weave mint macaron ribbon. This is from the Gilded Autumn collection that is in the holiday catalog. And then I've gone ahead and tied a bow with some linen thread. Okay, so those are the pieces that we're gonna need. The first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do some die cutting. And I'm gonna use 2 of the dies from the Curvy dies. Oh, not that one, this one. Okay, so I'm gonna use these 2. Now, the first thing I'm gonna do is, if you flip this die over, so there are a bunch of dots, so it will cut out the dots like this, okay? So there's a cutting edge on one of the sides. So you have to really be careful of what look you're going for. So I wanna point this out because I don't know how many times I made the mistake of having it backwards when I was cutting kits for my team meeting. Okay, so the cutting edge is the side with the raised bit. Okay, so if I put it down with the cutting edge at the bottom, that is going to give me the dots at the top. So that will give me this look, okay, which is beautiful. I absolutely adore that look. However, for this particular card, I want it so that it just cuts the curve. I don't want the dots on the part that I'm saving. So I'm going to end up using the top bit, which is going to be the largest bit. So my cutting edge is at the top, okay? And then I'm going to nestle this in and cut this as well. And you'll see how this cuts out once we run it through our die cutting machine. So I'm gonna slide this out of the way, bring in my big boss here. And we'll put these down. So then I'm just gonna position it probably about, actually let's go a little bit lower. And I'm gonna get the image, or the die with the vine, I wanna get it as close as I can to the border. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Carefully put that on top. Feed that through. Okay, and let's just take this, move this out of the way. So now can you see I've got my dots at the bottom because I put that cut edge at the top. But these pieces are great to keep because you can create some great borders with these types of pieces, but that's not what I need for this particular project. And then this one cuts out a bunch of leaves, and I want to bring this closer so you can see the detail. Can you guys see the debossed, I guess it's called because it's inset? details on there. So there's like vines. You see that? It's so pretty. And then there are these great leaves that have details left on them, left here as well. But we're not going to use those for this time, for this particular project. I think those would be super cute if you wanted to save them and use them like in a shaker pocket. Okay, set that aside. We're going to need that again in a bit. Okay, so now I've got that piece cut. Actually, I'm going to do one thing to this before we move on to the next step. I am going to stamp my greeting, and I'm using the greeting that says wishing you the happiest of birthdays, and I'm going to stamp it in Memento ink. And this follows the curve really nicely. Let's see here. Mary Liz asked, any issues with the curved dies going through square to the rollers? No, Mary Liz, I haven't had any problems. I've done some going through parallel, and then I've got some going through perpendicular. Am I getting those right? So I've done them both ways, and I've had no issues with either way. I think because they're curvy and they're not straight, I find that if they were straight, that sometimes that's an issue. But because they're curvy, I have not had an issue at all. Okay, so this is going to get stamped right on here. That's a good question. Just like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back my card base, and I'm going to position this so that it is about 1/8 of an inch from the top, just like that. Make sure it's straight, and I'm going to take a pencil and lightly mark this curve. Okay, so that I know where that curve needs to be, because what I want to do is I want to add a little bit more color in behind where those leaves are going to be. So then I'm going to bring in some shaded spruce and my finger dauber, and I'm just going to add some color on here, and it doesn't matter how messy it looks or how dark some spots are, how light other spots are, because you want to have that variation, and there's so little that will be seen. We're only basically going to see it peeking out from where the little leaf holes are. Okay, so then I'll position this back on top and just see if I've missed anything. So it looks like I need a little bit more right there. And then I'm going to add maybe just a bit, make it dark kind of in a few spots. So I would normally not sponge like that. I wouldn't want those circular images, but like I said, you're only going to see a little snippet of the color underneath, so it doesn't matter what it looks like here. Okay. Now, at this point, you can take an eraser and erase that line, or what you can do is you can just make a point to just, when you add this, put it down just a smidge, and it covers over that line. So we're going to add this with dimensionals. Okay, so I'm going to line up, this is difficult to see because I've got so many lights and I've got quite a bit of glare. So I'm going to line this up, but then remember to put it down just a smidge so I don't see that pencil line. There we go. Okay, so now we've got that on there. Isn't that pretty? It just makes it a little bit darker underneath, makes those leaves pop a little bit more. We're gonna do one other thing to the card base here. Well, actually we're gonna do a few more things. I've got my paper piercer, or my paper piercing mat and my paper piercer, and I'm going to freehand stitch along this curve. So I've got my card open because I don't want to stitch through both layers of my cards. I just want to stitch through the front layer. Yes, you're right, Mary Liz. This is great for anybody who maybe hasn't had a ton of experience with sponging and just wants to try it out. This is a great technique for that. So just putting it behind some, like a smaller detailed stamped image or die cut image. So I'm just gonna keep poking here. I'm leaving, well, I don't know, maybe not quite 1/8 of an inch in between each of the holes. And I love this technique. I think we went through a phase a number of years ago where paper piercing was so popular. We had these stencils and, or not stencils, yeah, they were kind of, well, templates. We had some of those. There were some stars and some hearts, and they had all the holes perfectly spaced so that you could stamp or punch these, poke is the word I'm looking for, poke these beautiful patterns. And I still do that actually a lot. I use my dies and will cut out a shape and then poke around the shape. And it creates such a beautiful, subtle background. So that's something to keep in mind if you're looking for something subtle to do. And you don't even need anything extra, right? If you've got a paper piercer and a mat, and then just any die or punch. All right. Okay, so we've added our holes here. And now we are going to add this little bit of ribbon we're going to put up here. So I'm just going to do a strip of adhesive. And then fold this down like this. So I'm just making sure that I don't go past the top of the card because I want to make sure that it'll fit inside of an envelope nicely. I'll use a mini glue dot for my bow. And that is going to go right on here. Okay, and now we need to embellish it because, I mean, it's beautiful like this, but we can make it cute, really cute by adding some of these adorable birds. So I've got all 3 birds on one block just to make it easy to stamp and then die cut. So these are going to get stamped with Memento ink onto the crumb cake. And then I'm going to color in using blends, and I'm going to use a combination of Smoky Slate and terracotta. No, this isn't terracotta, Cajun Craze. And it is different coloring on crumb cake cardstock than Whisper White. If you're used to coloring with your blends on Whisper White or very vanilla cardstock, this is it's almost like it's much more porous. It doesn't have that glossy finish. Well, and our cardstock doesn't really have a glossy finish, but it's not like a smooth finish. So sometimes it bleeds out a little bit. So I find a very, very light touch and trying not to go too close to the edges. Like I'm hardly even touching the cardstock. So I'm just coloring the tops of the birds, or the wings and the top of its head with the light gray. I'll go back with the dark and just add a hint of shadows. Leanne says, I got a card from Alice once that was pierced and you put a battery candle behind. It was very pretty. Oh, that's pretty cool. So it lit up. So kind of like a tea light holder. We were talking last night about, I think it was Mary Liz who mentioned that she remembers using punching patterns out of tin cans and then putting a tea light inside. Do you guys remember doing that? Okay, so I'm just adding a little bit of shadowing. And I also find that with this cardstock, you don't even need to go back and blend, because at first it looks like it needs to be blended, but it soaks into the cardstock so nicely that you actually don't need to add any blending. It does its on its own. Okay, and then I'm going to take the Cajun and color in the bottom for the birds' bellies. So how many of you that are watching are participating in On Stage at Home this weekend? I know some of you are demonstrators. I'm so excited. It's not going to be quite the same as a live event, but I think it's going to be wonderful. I think it's going to be lots of fun. Okay, I'll add a little bit. Shadowing here. Okay. All right. So can you see? That's the one that I just colored, and see how dark it is. This was the first one. You can see how much lighter it's gotten. So it really doesn't need to be blended. You don't need to add that third layer over top to blend it. Okay, so now I'm going to bring back my die cutting machine and then pull in these little bird dies. Line them up, and if you position the stamps far enough on your block, you can actually die cut all three at the same time, as long as your magnetic platform doesn't get finicky on you. Okay, so maybe not. Let's do two. All right, run that through. Yeah, Joy, it's gonna be awesome, hey? Okay, so we got two of our birds. Let's do the last one. Read this through, and then we can finish up our card. For those of you, hey Kathy, hey Carol. Work is getting in the way for you, Carol? Yeah, it's tough when work gets in the way of your stamping. I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, for those of you who are joining in a little bit later, I shared another flip through of my holiday album because I made some changes or some additions to it. So it's finally complete, and so you can go back and watch that, and I'll post the details for the link because the deadline to register is the 8th, which is Sunday, so it's coming up quite quickly. Okay, so we want to do this guy because it's facing off to the right. I want to put this guy up here, and he's going to get stuck down using a dimensional. Yeah, I think it'll be good. If Joy, if what was it called? The Leader Summit. If that is any indication, and I believe it's the same platform, the Leader Summit back in August was done really, really well. And it's the same platform, so I think it'll be really good. Okay, and then this guy's gonna go on flat. right here. And this guy's gonna get popped up. Right there. So there's the front of our card. Isn't it cute? I love it. So cute. Okay, so the inside, I think we need to add something to the inside here. Maybe let's add a couple birds. Okay, let me give this a clean. I have my cleaner here. Thank you, Lorraine. Hey, Alice. Okay, let's do, I'm gonna do this little guy. So we'll take these guys off. Put them on my tin so I don't lose them. Let's move this to the center of the block. Just add a little bird right there. And of course we gotta color him in. We can't have the front ones colored and not have this little guy colored in. I've been having so much fun with this bundle. Okay, I created, for one of my classes, I've got a Scrap the Sketch class going on right now in a private Facebook group, and yesterday I used the dies to create such a fun border for a scrapbook layout. I love it. I love it so much that I'm actually going to use it on a couple different layouts because it's just so fun. There we go. So we've got our little bird. I don't have a greeting that I want to stamp on the inside. Sometimes I like to leave it so that I can customize it based on the recipient. And also this will be the card that I give away next week on Friday's Facebook Live. So that way you can customize the inside. But I want to do one thing on the back. There is a stamp in this stamp set that says, made with love just for you. So I'm going to take my mint macaron and stamp this on the back of the card. It's the perfect stamp that you can just stamp on the back and then you can just add your initials. So cute. There we go. And the card is done. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Just a reminder that if you do place an order from me, I always appreciate your orders. Every one of them, no matter what size they are. If you place an order of $35 or more using this host code, then I will send you the supplies to create 4 cards using this Quite Curvy variety bundle. And we will do a live Zoom session on November 19th where we'll craft the cards together. All right, so thanks so much for watching. Remember that by commenting and sharing, you get a chance to win this card. Mary was the lucky winner for last week's card, which was this sweet little gnome birthday card. Actually, it wasn't last week, it was the week before. All right. So thanks so much. Have a fabulous day and enjoy On Stage for those who are attending On Stage. Take care, guys. We'll see you next Friday.